10 most depressing towns in England. England is both the beauty and bane of Britain. That's why every list of positives about the UK contains towns or cities in England. The same can be said about negatives. Some places in England bear the heavier weight of melancholy more heavily than others. Some towns struggle with persistent economic decline, current social challenges, or past historical scars. On this list of the 10 most depressing towns in England, you'll find towns that stand out for their reputation as depressing in the country. One striking fact, however, is that these towns are among the places featured in our videos about the 7 most depressing places in the United Kingdom. Please check and see the reasons for their negative rankings. 10. Widnes, Cheshire. How apt it is to begin this listing in Widnes. This town in Cheshire is the 10th on this list. The town, located on the banks of the River Mersey, is somewhat paradoxical. From the surface, you'd believe you could enjoy scenic views here as you walk along the waterfront. However, there's more about this town than meets the eye. For example, if you're enticed by all of that, you should know that this place is likely to place you on a continuous downward spiral of ill health. Taking the health question as captured by the latest census, you'll realise that it compares poorly to its neighbouring local authorities. Another index of deprivation that ranks this town poorly is crime. If the available figures are anything to go by, your safety isn't quite guaranteed in this town. 9. Swindon. Let's visit southwest England to find the next town on this list. Ordinarily, this town offers a mix of culture, history and nature, as can be seen in its museum. More about this can be seen or admired at the renowned art collections deposited in the Swindon Museum and Art Gallery. Since 2022, however, Swindon has entered the list of the most depressing towns in England for a number of reasons. Apart from being a commuter town, it lacks specialist well-paid employment. The county lines, operations and high concern about crime are another cause for concern. Little wonder the town was branded the most average town in Britain by reviewers. Those visiting the town centre feel that its lifeblood has been sucked away by the designer outlet and the orbital shopping park, describing it further as now a boarded-up post-apocalyptic wasteland of tramps and drunks. 8. Croydon. If not for the presence of London, Croydon would have been given city status, but the large town in South London is truly depressing, making it unfit to be regarded as a city. Located 15 kilometres south of Charing Cross, it's part of the London Borough of Croydon, which is a local government district of Greater London. Of course, Croydon is one of Greater London's largest commercial districts. While London is definitely a great city, competing for the slot of the best city in Europe, travellers and investors don't often see it that way because not everywhere in the capital is great. Even those living in the town aren't happy to find themselves there and will go to any length to be out of the dungeon. No wonder it's named one of the UK's most depressing. 7. Luton. This town and unitary authority that enjoys borough status in Bedfordshire is certainly not the right place to live. The phenomenon is not exactly new. For the past 2 decades, Luton has been labelled negatively. The softest expressions used to describe Luton by the majority of reviewers are ugly, grey and depressing. It has also been a regular feature on different lists discussing Britain's worst or most depressing areas. 6. Crawley. Let's also discuss Crawley, a town and borough in West Sussex. It's as close as just 45 kilometres south of London and 29 kilometres north of Brighton and Hove. The town, on an area of 44.96 square kilometres, has been inhabited since the Stone Age, but it has refused to completely shelve its Stone Age features. No matter how much you try to defend this town and explain it off the list, you'll meet several issues making that impossible. There are no big airports or industrial estates that could serve as a catalyst for economic prosperity. There are no big employers. Even as ancient as it is, it doesn't have any ancient high street that can showcase its rich history. And there's no attractive countryside to point at. 5. Paignton, Devon. It's good to recall what you've been told in the video mentioned earlier about the worst places to live in the UK. We find Paignton in Devon on the list. A lot has been said about the seaside town of Paignton, located on the coast of Tor Bay. Recall that we informed you that the town would have fared better if it had remained as it was in 1086. However, as a town with the largest number of most deprived neighbourhoods, it's certainly one of the most deprived. Some people are deceived when they find that the homes here are affordable. They are oblivious to the fact that those houses aren't attractive. It's just that not so many people are willing to live in the town. 4. Elie Port, Cheshire. Again, we implore you to go and see the video mentioned earlier and learn a bit more about the industrial town on the Wirral Peninsula, which despite its past activities on the Manchester Ship Canal, remains one of the most depressing. Elie Port is certainly not a convenient place to live. By the standard of the residents, the town is highly condemnable. It's not just one of the towns where you just exist, as they put it. Ellesmere should be served with the same cup Paignton is served, and definitely the same cup with which YoVille in Somerset is, because YoVille is also on that list, as you'll next see. 3. YoVille, Somerset. Let's take you to YoVille in the south of Somerset, as we're nearing the end of this listing. YoVille is close to the border with Dorset, about 209 kilometres and 64 kilometres south of Bristol. YoVille is in the centre of the YoVille Scarplands, which is a natural region of England, but all that does nothing to take it off a list like this. Reviewers have described it as a decrepit, run-down town riding on the former glory of two industry ex-leaders, Pittards and Westlands Military Factory. They're the only two employers providing the residents of the town willing to work with the earning power that propels them to erupt in an orgy of booze. On Friday and Saturday nights, the town centre is always full of violence, making it the town with the highest violent crime rate in England. 2. Tiverton, Devon. We can't wind down this list without Tiverton, a town and civil parish in Devon. This town is the Mid-Devon district's commercial and administrative centre. It's an ancient town with roots in the Stone Age. You can see much of that in the way of history, as can be found everywhere across its lands. Also, Tiverton is completely surrounded by some of the most beautiful landscapes and countryside. It has been ranked among the most depressing towns in England. But why? While some lovers of this town will describe it by painting pictures of undulating hills and lively grasslands, together with the coast and general bliss, the majority of the views of this town are far from that. For instance, they complain about the nauseating unguarded pets roaming the streets. Others refer to unsightly slaloms of various piles of vomit and kebabs or curries on Sunday morning when you visit its shops. Splatters of blood from various street fights that likely erupted the previous night greet your eyes every weekend. Can it be more depressing? 1. Falmouth, Cornwall. Do we still have any more things to tell you about Falmouth? We've said a lot about this town in our video about the 7 most depressing places in the UK. You need to be reminded that it came last, or should we say top, on that list. Oh, are you among those who have not seen the video? Please hurry and get at it. We won't want to advise you to pause this one because you are nearing the end. However, to put all we've said about certain towns here, including Falmouth, the winner, in the right perspective, you need to see it. Now, back to this story. If a town is the most depressing in the entire country, it goes without saying that it must, as a matter of scientific and mathematical fact, top this list. The town described as bland and boring is certainly not the right place to live if you don't want to live in a depressing place and beckon at depression. As we conclude this, what can you say about this list of the 10 most depressing towns in England? We would love to read your insightful comments on this issue. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.